All right, everybody, this will be warning to all politicians. I'm running for president in 2024, part 27. Give a little overview here. The whole purpose of this is to make politicians aware that we're in a day and age now where you can reach out and be heard through social media, through YouTube, by a lot of people. And this whole circus, dog and pony show they do every 4 years in presidential elections, and raising billions of dollars and running around spewing their lies about what they're going to do, this and that, while they're accepting huge campaign funds and money from lobbyist groups and stuff. It's on its way out. So whether it's me or another man or woman that can achieve some momentum doing this, it'll be a wake-up call. So I'm stating my ideas on things. I'm willing to listen to ideas. I'm willing to look at data, look at things from both sides, and I'll form my opinion and stuff. And if you agree with it, write me in. And when it comes to where I can declare for 2024, officially file the paperwork, do everything's necessary, we'll get that done. So wanted to point out a couple of places you can get fresh perspectives on some of the things going on. One of them's a guy I just found on YouTube, Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum brings a fresh perspective of he's just going to tell it like it is and give the facts, and tell you things about some current events that you're not going to get from the news media. Same with Candace Owens. She also has no problem speaking the truth and pointing out why it matters. So I also want to point out to a lot of people, because I've espoused my religious views and beliefs, and my religious views and beliefs do not have to be your religious beliefs and views. And I would in no way use those views to from a position of authority to try and override our democracy and our constitutional republic or anything like that. And my religious views do not say that is something that needs to be done. My understanding so far of the faith that I've espoused, that I'm starting to study and have became aware of within the last few months, is that, and it's true, we are all, God has guided us all. We are all from one creator, and we'll return to that one creator, and that we shouldn't be having these wars and killing each other and making weapons that can destroy the planet. We should find ways to solve our differences, that all our cultures are important. It doesn't say any culture needs to give up its borders and its culture, but that we should cooperate more and have more things in common, like one currency. And I know that alarms a lot of people on the evangelical right and stuff, because everyone's been taught about this, one world government, new world order, is of the Antichrist and this and that and all this type of stuff. And if you read the scriptures, you'll come to find out that's not true. The cause of God is to unite, and then you can read the Gospels about being a brotherhood, that everyone who in Christ, we're brothers and sisters. Same thing within Islam, and all the other religions, and that all these religions taught about one who would come, whether you consider it the return of Christ or from any of the names from the other religions, that would unite all of humanity. And you look at the Gospels, it's the kingdom. And men would beat their weapons of war into plowshares, and man will learn war no more. Doesn't mean we have to give up who we are. It just means we'll reach a point where we understand that to struggle in this life to the point of going to war and everything for riches and power and all this is a worthless endeavor, because this is the netherworld, and you can find that in any religious teachings too. It's a graveyard. This is the temporal life. This is it's only temporary. Like Jesus said, the next life is the abundant life. So that's the basis of my religious beliefs, and I believe that return of the Masonic figure, the Messiah figure, has already happened in the 1800s. And just like it says in the gospel, he'll be called by a new name, knowledge would be increased, and he'd come like a thief in the night. So for those of you who are all waiting for the temple to be rebuilt and all this stuff and everything, that's, your preacher is misinformed. That's not what Jesus said, peace be upon him. And also it's the Islamic traditions have been also perverted from what the hadiths and what the Quran actually says through their scholars. And so if you study it, you'll figure it out. You'll see that all religions have been sent by God. All religions teach a one who will once again reunite humanity. Doesn't mean we give up, our cultures and are flooded by other people and all this type of stuff. We do have to have certain amounts of humanity and this, and some people can say, well, your views on crime and punishment and all this and everything don't sound like too much about brotherly love and all this stuff. And it doesn't say you have to be stupid either. Criminals could care less about humanity, and they don't act in ways that look at you as being a fellow human being and a brother or a sister. They look at you as a target. All they care about is themselves. They will rob you, hurt you, do whatever. So my religious beliefs do not say, hey, it's all good, it's all love, and we don't have to punish this guy for breaking into that woman's house and raping her and all this. Like some of these leftists have this insane idea. We got to watch the calorie intakes of convicts. People who were ruthlessly cruel to other human beings and made them fear, made them beg for their lives. And like I said in my last one, this guy up in Seattle that's talking about, George Floyd and how, how many countless other cases are out there. Well, look at the statistics, and he's like, that there wasn't a camera there to catch. Well, there was no camera to catch when the George Floyd did his home invasion. How many other countless home invasions? Because people usually don't do one and get caught on their first one. You understand? He got caught on that one. There's no telling how many other ones him and his crew had done. There is no way of knowing if George Floyd had ever killed anyone. There is no way of knowing if the fentanyl, methamphetamine, that he was using and stuff like this, if he dealt it to other people and that killed someone. You understand? Saying you love your fellow human beings and humanity and stuff does not say you have to coddle criminals. That you have to allow people who practice things that hurt humanity and hurt their neighbors and stuff. Doesn't say I'll just let your guard down and let people, and this whole the left media and everything not giving you the whole story. It's kind of like, who Paul Harvey is, and then he would say, and now the rest of the story, or he'd say, now the rest of the story. Well, that's what you're getting a lot from the left, only you're not getting the rest of the story. You're not getting the whole story. And they'll spin things and do all this stuff, and it comes from the right too. For some of their causes that really shouldn't be. But so anyway, I wanted to put that out there to clear things up for people who might be wondering what my views on religion are, and also how I can have saying love for fellow humanity. Well, I think the victims of crime are your fellow humanity too, aren't they? There's the woman that was scared to death and begging for her life when George Floyd and his crew did a home invasion on her house and put a gun to her stomach, the pregnant woman. Are we supposed to have love for her? So, and there's a lot of things a lot of us don't understand about law and stuff like this and everything. Like, you take the guy that was shot, supposedly he was just out jogging, this and that. Well, he had a criminal past too. And all right, that doesn't make it all right he got shot. But, when I first saw it, I was like, well, he didn't steal nothing. He just went and looked at a construction site. A lot of people do that. But I was under the impression it was like a development or, a big job site or something. This was somebody's private home. It was private property. So to begin with, he's trespassing. And he didn't break and enter, but he entered. It's like, if you leave your door open, does that give somebody a right that's going down the street to come walk in your house, look around? No, it doesn't. So this guy's head wasn't screwed on too right to begin with. And he had arrests before for several things. So, and whether or not the people in that neighborhood knew that or not, knew this of him, but there's a couple of videos taken from in that home and then from across the street and stuff and everything. And when he went in that home and everything, the people called 911. And when he came out, you can see somebody on the porch. Somebody said something to him, and he takes off running. So you're not supposed to be suspicious about that. So if there have been burglaries in the neighborhood and they know this guy has a criminal record and stuff, so now the thing is they went to make a citizen's arrest. And under Georgia's laws, he broke the law when he went into that house. He broke the law when he went into that house. So these former police officers, or a former police officer and his son, I forget if they both were or not, we're going to make a citizen's arrest. Now, we can get into a big debate if there should be these types of things or not. But under Georgia law, they had the right to detain him and make a citizen's arrest. He went into somebody's home. He wasn't supposed to go into somebody's home. Even though it was being rented, it's still somebody's home. So he didn't like the idea that they were going to stop him and stuff. Instead of just waiting for the cops to get there, he decided to confront the guy with the shotgun. And that's never a good idea. So he wasn't too bright there either. Now, you can argue, like I've argued before, you've already called the cops. Let them handle it, like in the Trayvon Martin case. We can argue that point there, but we got to put all the facts on the table. We can't listen to stories like, black guy was jogging and was shot for no reason at all. There was nothing else going on. He was just gunned down in cold blood, and that's the story they put out there in the news. And people fly off the hook and everything, and it's like, somebody has to start making these news agencies accountable. They should start going back and saying, look here, did you know this and that when you put this story out? And you didn't tell all the facts? You didn't put the truth out there? You put this stuff out there to incite people? Well, guess what? There's got to be laws against it. There's got to be, dealing with, their license to broadcast and stuff like that. But we need to start going after these people and say, you're not going to do this anymore. You are not going to take an incident and spin it and pervert it and not give all the facts and everything because you're trying to reach some political gain. You're not going to do it anymore. So anyway, they tried to do citizen's arrest. They were fully in their rights under Georgia law. But the politicians there didn't want to allow due process or anything like this, allow an investigation. They're worried about their political asses. And the prosecutors and stuff who knew these people and recused themselves or whatever from the case and everything. It's like, in this climate, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Even though he broke the law by going into that house. And they had every right to make a citizen's arrest under Georgia law. There's no way in hell, because of the political climate and all the spin doctors, that everything is race-based, that they were going to touch that case. Now, we talk about fair trials in America. Do you think those guys are going to get a fair trial? That all the facts are going to be taken into account? And if they are, and they're found not guilty, what do we face then? What do we face then? Because the story's already out there that this guy was just a jogger. The story's not out there that he was a criminal. The story's not out there that he went into a private individual's home uninvited. He had no business going in there. When I first saw it, I was like, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people. There's a new development going in or stuff. We'll go through and maybe walk up and look around and see, what kind of, floor plans and stuff like that are going on, or what kind of amenities and stuff. I know you're supposed to wait, proper thing, wait till the models are built, and then you go and you talk to the agents. But I also know from being in construction in my younger years and stuff, there is a lot of theft that goes on from people, meandering through construction sites. So I can understand that there's more need for security, and you don't want people going through those construction sites, And maybe this guy had a camera in there where he's renovating. Because he's been ripped off of tools or supplies and stuff, materials. So we got to stop all this knee-jerk reaction, and we got to stop listening to these people in the news media who, number one, the more scintillating stuff and everything that they make stuff, the more people watch, the more advertising, the dollars they get, and all this stuff. It used to be the news part of a television network. They didn't rely on advertising dollars. They could stay independent. They didn't have these big budgets, and all the reporters and stuff didn't get these big fat salaries you see these days. They weren't celebrities and stars and such that way. Then it changed. And they had to start supporting their own selves, which means you got to put programming on that people will watch, and if people will watch, then advertisers will support your news show. 60 Minutes had to be the way 60 Minutes was because they had to generate their own advertising money. And they generated a lot. So you got to take all that stuff into effect. How much of what you see is determined by the advertisers. I've told you before of a story, the Olympics. NBC, I believe it was doing the Olympics that year, going to receive lots of advertising dollars, and their news department had done a story about Nike and basically the slave labor and the inhumane conditions that people who worked for Nike in Vietnam had to endure. Nike didn't like it. Gave NBC a whole bunch of advertising dollars, and the story was squashed, and I think the reporter was even fired when she complained about it. So you can find that on YouTube. And I think there's even a documentary made about it. But so there's a lot of things that influence what you see in the news and stuff, and that's why I talk about mindsets, and who's your guru? What are you listening to? Do you have an objective mind? Do you care about what the truth is? Are you easily led astray and into irrational positions? Can you look at things in a rational view? Like I said, stop and frisk. If I lived in a neighborhood and there was a lot of, white guys, neo-Nazis, whatever, meth heads, who were shooting up each other in the neighborhood and getting people caught in the crossfire, would I be okay with stop and frisk? Even if it meant I was walking to work, I was going to be stopped and frisked and this and that and everything. And I said, rationally, I would like to think, okay, it's necessary. On the irrational side, you have people talking, no, they're violating the Constitution, this and that and everything. Well, there's some times when certain things, are necessary, and you can either amend the Constitution or you can temporarily put a solution in there that might not sit well with everybody and might, at first appearance, be like you're violating somebody's civil rights or their constitutional rights. And if the data is all right that, comes from Mayor Giuliani and those of the city there who were in that administration then, that crime went down, gun deaths from guns and this and that and everything went down there and everything, then they're heroes because they saved black lives. And that's all we hear now is Black Lives Matter. So Mayor Giuliani should get an award from Black Lives Matters and those officers who participated. So check out Officer Tatum. You'll get a lot more stats and stuff that you don't hear. All you hear is the stuff that's meant to incite people and to get ratings on the news media. You won't hear the stats that you'll get from Officer Tatum. So I wanted to put that stuff out there. And we are all one humanity. We are all under one God, and we are on one earth. We need to cooperate with each other, stop all the needless expenditures, needless military expenditures, live in peace with each other, and take all that money and effort and put it into things for the future, to better humanity. I'm a stern believer in, you broke into a woman's house and raped her and stuff, you're capable of anything. You ain't seen the light of day. But I'm also a firm believer in, if we take a lot of the money we spend on nonsense and make better schools and give people a better stake, they're invested in their future, in the future of their children and stuff, a lot of that crime will disappear if we better educate people. And we have politicians that aren't afraid to go and, just annihilate the drug cartels and criminal enterprises like that. Because if we don't do something, you watch them videos from overseas in Africa, this and that, or down there in Mexico, them cartels, the cops back off, and you got these guys riding around in pickup trucks with machine guns on top. You look at all the killing in Africa just because you didn't belong to the right tribe. Same thing with this gang stuff. And right now, you can bet your ass when ISIS, groups like that, Al-Qaeda looks and sees these morons, these people are taking over city blocks within our cities. They're seeing possible fresh recruits is what they're thinking. Don't make any bones about it. Don't make any mistake about it that if they've got people in this country, they're going to be trying to hook up with these morons that have taken over city blocks. I'm telling you right now, we have to address these issues, and we have to deal with people who would do this type of stuff and think it's okay to loot and to burn and to intimidate people. And we got to nip it in the bud right now. I'm telling you, because the next step is groups like ISIS and this and that operating in our country. So, wish you all the best out there. I'm going to get down the road a little further, and we're going to stick with this. Some people might say, oh, it's crazy, this or that. I'm sure when I tell my son, he's going to laugh his ass off. I haven't told him yet. So, anyhow, if it takes off, if it takes flight, give thumbs up. I'm not looking for anybody's money. I'm not looking to monetize on YouTube. I'm not looking for campaign contributions. I'm not looking for volunteers to put out flyers. Give a thumbs up, and come time where we can, write me in on the ballot. I think it's need 5,000, something like that, and I think then I'll have to file the paperwork and pay like a $500 fee or something. Anyway, I'll have to go over all that stuff again, and when the time comes. So, but whether it's me or somebody else, another man or another woman who can generate enough interest to where people start taking it serious, and gets the politicians' attention, and maybe instead of all their crap, they will actually roll up their sleeves and start doing the things they're supposed to do in their sworn oaths and take care of the people in this country. They've got no problem throwing foreign aid for, all kinds of stuff to support guerrilla groups or provide weapons to nations, and just flat out buy their politicians and all this and stuff, and God knows what else that money goes for that we send, south of the border and overseas and everything. They got no problem spending our money that way with their blank checkbook. They got no problem spending our money with a blank checkbook for all these foreign nationals illegally coming across our borders and getting on welfare and all this stuff. And at the same token, like in my previous videos, I said I've seen places in this country you wouldn't believe exist, in the inner city and in rural areas, that have been neglected by these same people who campaign all the time that they're going to do something, they're going to help you, they're going to make life better in these cities. And they've made life worse. Look at Seattle. That ain't the Emerald City no more, bud. That is not the Emerald City up there no more. And Portland's not the city of roses anymore either. I'll tell you that. The things that are going on up there and the mindsets that have sunk in up there are just flat out ridiculous. Absolutely flat out ridiculous. And it's all leftist socialists. This is what you get when you teach Marx and Lenin and stuff in higher education. You know, you don't see them teach. If you were to try and teach Hitler and Mein Kampf and that in universities, oh my God, there'd be an outcry. And there should be an outcry. But somehow they get away, like Lenin and Marx are any better than Hitler. If you think that, you got to screw loose. You have absolutely got to screw loose. So, but that's what they do. They demonize our founding fathers who talk about things, life, liberty, those types of things. And they support Marx and Lenin. So you need to wake up. You need to be aware. You need to educate yourself. If you didn't pay attention in school, you need to educate yourself. All right. Wish you all the best out there. Be safe. God bless. We'll catch you next time. Adios.